Hi friends, welcome back. As you can tell from all the accoutrements, we are ready to do battle. We are ready to dive in today, and we're actually working on one of my goals that I set for myself this year. And if you missed that video, I'll link it below. But essentially, one of my goals was to create privacy in this cut flower garden. And I'll just bullet point it for you real quick. Our chain link fence is ugly. I don't like it. This is not something I want for myself, yet it's what is here and it's what we're working with. And also number two, I used to have a cute little old couple with a big laurel hedge behind me, and it felt very private. And now I have a giant daydo, 2-car garage, rooftop deck looking right at the garden, and I'm over it. And it just it's to the point where I feel naked back here and I want to feel held. So next weekend, I'm going down to Oregon and I am going to pick up hedge material. And I've been researching for a while. If you want to see me do like a whole video on landscaping for privacy, drop it down below. I feel like privacy is something we're all looking to achieve. We're all looking to feel held in our space. But long story short, I have a hedge material that is being grown in Oregon, and I'm going to pick it up next weekend after my garden tour over at Bauman Farms. So I will link that below as well, Garden Palooza, not to be missed. So in anticipation of Garden Palooza, picking up my new hedge, I have got to get the row prepped. So I am going to take you down there. I've got spray paint. I've got a measuring tape. I've got gloves. I've got bags. I have my favorite new weeding tool. I've got a cup of coffee. So I'm ready for battle. Let's jump on in. Welcome to my very unattractive back fence. It is not in the budget to refence this at this time. I'm not sure if we're going to because it's really sturdy, but I don't want to look at it. So essentially, here's the plan. We are going to start on this small return. So we're going to start over here. I'm probably going to plant one hedge tree here. I'm going to plant one out here on this corner, and then we're going to take it all the way to that back fence line. And then we're going to return it to the gate. There's actually a set of stairs that is incredibly dangerous that goes down to the back alley. So that's why we have such a deep return there. But eventually we are going to have hedging material covering this entire area, which I'm so excited about. In front of it, I am planning a decorative border, which I'm really excited about. But for right now, I just want to do first things first. So first priority is going to be getting that hedge in. So what I have is I've got some just like super basic marking spray. This stuff is great. You can get it at any local hardware store. And essentially you want this type because when you spray it upside down, it'll actually spray as opposed to normal spray paint, which won't work upside down. I'm going to mark out 3 feet all the way along. So I have a really good visual of where I am headed. Along the way, I know I'm going to be pulling back pathway. I know that I'm going to be losing some of this garden bed, and that is totally fine because I am achieving a goal that I really, really want, which is privacy. And without privacy, I just don't feel at home in my garden. With this area right here, this is all of my Verbena Bonariensis. I love it. It comes back every year. I'm going to remove a bunch of this, and so I'll probably need to cut this back to spray this 3 feet. Not a big deal. So I'm going to start in on this side, and we're just going to kind of go all the way down. Okay, 3-foot outline is sprayed. Again, I'm not doing the full border yet. I'm just giving myself that one goal of prepping for hedge space. And I know I need 3 feet and I need to amend it and get that in next weekend. So without much further ado, we're gonna jump in and I'm just gonna get stuff done. So weeds are going, everything, 86. So my weatherman Brian has just looked at the Doppler, and we got hit with this first wave of rain, but there's another one coming in hot, and apparently it's more robust. So I'm gonna call it here. I got the first 15 feet done. I'm gonna go ahead and like give myself a baby pat on the back. Again, tons of bindweed, but like a fraction of the blackberry. And I do mean a fraction. I've only pulled 2 giant blackberry roots, which for me, if you don't know, we have been doing battle with this blackberry for 6 years. Like 6 years. This has not been a flash in the pan. So the fact that I only have 2 blackberry vines that I've pulled up, we're feeling so accomplished. The bindweed situation continues even under fabric. So just if you're struggling with it, it'll be under your fabric. There's no smothering it. But I think we've done a good job. With all this rain coming in, I'm gonna bring you inside because I wanna show you something I'm like so excited about. They're like my little babies downstairs. So I'm gonna show you those. And then we should have a tiny sunbreak later in the day. And when that happens, I'm coming right back outside because Brian ordered a rose for me and it's time to get it potted up. Also, it's a bare root. And I know sometimes people ask like, what do I do with a bare root rose? And it seems like expert level gardening, but it's not. And I'll show you exactly how to do it. Welcome to my seed starting situation. Tons of things going down there. I'm really excited. These ones I was using the 4-cell and the 6-cell starters for, and I did use some super old seed. So like, look at this, like barely anything germinated from this old celosia, but that's fine. I kind of knew what I was up against. But up here, these are all of the soil blocks that we did together a week and a half ago. And here are more. Look at this. Look at this beautiful, beautiful situation. These guys, by the way, all of those little pots, those are going to be for dahlias because I'm going to give them a jump start indoors because the row is not ready yet. But anyways, I wanted to bring you in here to show you what the amazingness is happening. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I'm so pumped. I can't even tell you. So let me bring you down here real quick. Okay, so right here you can see we've got tons and tons of things up and ready to go. We started these together, gosh, maybe 11 days ago. I still have a heat dome on this because look at this. I started some babies and those are doing really, really well, but not everything is germinated yet. But these are microgreen trays, actually. It's so funny, like to say that, but I am so tickled with them. So there's this like screen and they're really low profile. They're like an inch, right? But what's amazing for soil blocks is I always struggled with watering. And this just like, it literally is magic. So basically, you have a perfectly flat surface, which you really need with soil blocks so that they lay flat. Now, when you go to water it, you can actually water directly down in here, which is what I do. I just make sure I'm not pouring it on top of the soil blocks. I'm just pouring it in this little channel down here. And then look at this. Look at all of these little baby roots growing all the way down through. So like down here, what's amazing is I can flood this, right? I can get everybody watered. And then once this is all absorbed, I literally just take out that top tray and dump off the excess. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is changing the game for me because I used to have such a hard time. Like I tried flat trays. I tried everything. I tried traditional seed starting trays, but those were all ridged and nothing ever laid flat. So I do have to tell you that I'm so tickled with this setup here. It's like reinvigorated my love for soil blocking. So I'm gonna take a little break, get dried off, and then we're crossing our fingers for that sun break because I have a rose that is ready to be potted up. So I've been in the garden all day and I promised myself if I got weeding done, I would unpack my present. And this is a very special rose and Brian ordered it for me online in January. He ordered it in January, that sweet man. But there's a slight problem. I've taken off the labels, privacy, internet, the whole thing. But I didn't also want to put this vendor on blast. It's not my usual vendor. It's not Heirloom Roses. It is not David Austin. Those are the 2 people I order roses from online. And this package is so messed up. which I think could be like a handling issue, but you guys, then I opened it up and I was like, okay, maybe it's still fine inside, but it was packed in just like loose paper like this, not on the top, not on the bottom, or not like on both sides, just like on top. And then I pulled out my rose. Like, she's flat. So I'm dealing with a little disappointment, and she's like straight up moldy inside. And like a zip tie, I'm not like offended by a zip tie, but the fact that my rose came like flat as a pancake, like this is not making my heart sing. So if you do end up getting a rose like this, just be aware, this is not a quality sender. Okay, so I've been like really, really excited about this rose for months. And it's just like, you know, when you're like expectant and you're like, I'm gonna get a plant in the mail any day now. And it's already like April and I'm like, roses are budding out, they're breaking dormancy. Where's my rose? And then when you get it, and I just am like even afraid to take it out. Also, this shipped, it took a week to get here. And I feel like when I've ordered through other vendors and they're shipping live plant material, it's usually sent with a little bit more urgency. And I'm like, ugh, I'm really sad. I'm really sad. Okay, I'm going to take off. I don't want to put this vendor on blast. But I am like, honest to God, I'm like really disappointed. And maybe they're just doing their best, right? Maybe they're just doing their best. But this is a hot new release. I've been waiting so patiently for it, and it is like the roots are a mess. Like the whole thing is a mess. There's no shape to it. And like some of these leaves are just like a moldy, oh, there is mold on it. Gosh darn it. Okay. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to show you kind of what I'm looking at here. This is not my happiest moment, but do you see right here? This thing is not defoliated. So whenever I've ordered roses from David Austin or Heirloom Roses, they ship defoliated. And do you see all that like mold and moisture in there? I don't even know if that'll focus in. And you can kind of see it here as well. But typically you kind of want this defoliated and you want it shipped in dormancy, which is not what's happening here. Positives, it did come bare root, and I know a thing or two about bare root roses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off some of this yucky looking foliage. We're going to get it potted up. Okay, so here's the deal. If you get a sad plant like this, like, and here's the thing, is like feel the roots. Like some of these roots feel fine, but like these ones right here, they actually feel a bit slimy. These ones feel fine. That's like a white root. This feels slimy, okay? So these slimy roots, I'm actually just gonna like pinch off. You typically want to see new root growth as like white. It should be bright white. If your roots are slimy, that's an indication that there's just like way too much moisture in here. And I get it, like shipping bare root anything is a tricky beast. But we can do better than this. So here's how we're gonna correct this. Essentially, what I'm gonna do is I have an old nursery pot. And I'm going, and this is also an own root rose. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do to kind of like correct this fiasco. First and foremost, I'm gonna snip off these little ends here that are a little bit moldy. I'm just gonna give them a fresh cut. I'm gonna get it off of there. Next thing, I am going to strip a lot of these yellowing leaves. I just feel like anything that looks, any little rose leaves that are looking like this, I'm not even gonna play. I'm just gonna take those off. That's gross. That's gross. I don't like it. Okay. So I'm just gonna do a quick little defoliation here. Oh, and by the way, these are sterilized snips. I was working with them in a client's garden earlier today, and I always sterilize my snips between roses and then also when I get home. So I'm not bringing anything between the roses or back to my house for my roses. Okay. Yeah, some of these just like don't look great. So we're just gonna take them off. It's gonna be fine. Now, the one thing that I can't correct right now, which really, like, honest to God, this is one of like the most devastating reasons, or I should say, this is one of like the most heartbreaking reasons about this rose. Number one, this was really expensive. And number two, this is like the tiniest thing I've ever seen. And number three, she is flat as a pancake. I mean, how much was this rose before shipping? $60? So for $60, I just expect better. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would say. Okay, some of these roses some of these roots are just like super duper long. I don't need them that long. So I'm just gonna remove kind of like the wonky ones. This one, that root feels slimy. Okay, and typically I would soak this for a few hours before planting to rehydrate it. So typically when you receive a bare root rose, honestly, like the biggest issue that you usually face is rehydrating this thing. I'm actually gonna skip this step this time for this particular rose because its roots are already slimy, and that means it's already been in like too moisture rich of an environment, and I'm not gonna subject it to more of that. So I'm gonna skip that step. I'm gonna pot it up. But then I'm gonna give it a really deep soaking and make sure that all of the soil is compact around these roots. I've decided I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm not gonna get stressed out. We're just gonna plant it and move on. And I know it's gonna recoup. And the reason I'm putting it into a pot as opposed to directly in the ground is because I still have to prepare the bed where this new little rose is going to live. So here we go. Excellent. So in my hand, I've got a little bit of biotone from my bucket of goodies. And basically, I just want something that has a little bit of mycorrhizal fungi in it, a little bit of fertilizer, and that mycorrhizal fungi, what it does is it essentially helps those roots get activated and kind of like off to the races in good form. Now, when I get a little rose like this, I typically will like to do kind of like a bit of a cone. Usually when I order bare root, like David Austin sends like a beautiful rose. So I think I'm just like really spoiled. So essentially what you want to do is you want to kind of like take your soil and mound it up into a little cone, because the goal is for me to kind of like spread this little root structure out and sit it down on top of this little cone. So there's direct contact between the rose's roots and the soil. Okay. And you also don't want like all of the roots to go directly down into like one little tiny pocket. You want to encourage it to like spread out and really grow. Okay, that looks fabulous. And what you're doing is you want to make sure that you're pressing those roots into the soil. You want really good contact. You don't want any air pockets in there. Okay, next, if you can't tell, I'm trying to like use up all of my remaining half bags of potting soil. I'm just gonna start filling this little bugger back in. And as I'm doing that, I'm just kind of pushing it down a little bit because again, eliminating air pockets, really good contact with the soil. We want these roots to immediately get used to their new little home here. Okay, that actually is starting to look really good. And just for like a frame of reference, this is an old nursery pot that I had left over from a project. I typically like to keep like a little stash of big nursery pots for things that I like rescue, that I'm gonna transplant. So for reference, this container, this is actually a 6-gallon pot. And the reason this little beauty is going in here is because this is going to be one of the stars of the show in the new back border in the cut flower garden, because as you know, I'm working on kind of like beautifying that space. It was really functional, and now I'm ready for it to be kind of a pretty thing. Brian and I are currently debating whether we're going to tell you what kind of rose this is. I think I would like to hear in the comments what you think this little baby is. It's something, okay, we should give clues. Okay, so 3 clues are, it's a new release this year. It is not carried by David Austin or Heirloom Roses. And it is like a pink with a hint of, like, I don't know, what would you call that? Like peachy apricot in the middle? Okay. So those are your 3 clues. I want to see in the comments below what you think this is. But I am hoping in just a few weeks' time, with a little bit of love, she is going to bounce back in all of her glory. Oh my gosh, all these little new growth points are so bent over. But I'm hoping that this extra little bit of TLC will just kind of like help her perk up a bit. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a really good drink of water. Like, I'm going to saturate the whole stinking thing because we skipped that step about soaking the roots. But normally, if this was any other vendor, if it was a David Austin rose, I would just pop those bad rides into a bucket of water, like 4 to 6 hours, and then I would pot it up in the same method. Okay, so the rain has picked up again. My rose is planted, but I will see you in the next one. And in the meantime, rain or shine, get out there and say hello to your garden for me. Bye.